Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is episode 8 of Sit Down with Sniper, and we have a absolutely amazing guest today. We have Economist with us. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. I just wanted to start off, and I did want to apologize for the last episode. There might be some of you guys that heard it with Franklin, but I did decide to go ahead and unpublish the episode due to some audio issues. So I did want to apologize for that quickly. But in other news, we will have a Pope for this POAP for this episode as well. Economist, you may or may not have known that, but real quick, I wanted you to just pick a random word for your Pope for this episode, and when people go to mint it, they get to put this secret phrase in, and they'll be able to get the Pope. So what would you like to pick for this episode, brother? It could be anything.
I'll say in honor of my meta heroes on staking, let's go with POW.
Okay, so you got it. POW is going to be the word to get the POAP for this episode on Monday when it airs. Just type in POW and you should be able to mint it. So to jump in, those who may or may not know, Economist is a great person in this space. I met him several months back. Me personally, I feel like he is a very well-respected person, a super intelligent individual in the space. His Twitter is a great place to find a lot of information. He posts very, very well put together threads on things that go on throughout the community. He did one last night about pudgy penguins, so you can go check that out. It was very well put together. I loved it. But he also has a very well diverse portfolio. He is a Bored Ape Yacht Club owner of 8816, I believe, which is a pink fur. He does own Ghost 033. Has several other things too, like the Pixel Vault Founder DAO, PV Comics, Tom Sachs Rockets, Me Bits, Damian Hurst. So I feel like he's been in the community a little bit. I just wanted to take the second, Economist, for you to walk us through. When did you get started in all this, man? When did it really pop off in maybe NFTs or crypto?
So I think like a lot of people who joined the NFT space in 2021, my start came from NBA Top Shot. And it's funny, it's nearing just about a year now. It was the end of January that I made my first NBA Top Shot purchase. So I've been in the space for about a year. I was focused on Top Shot, I guess January through April-ish. And then, when they started making decisions to, really flood, the market with new moments without really understanding what their full game plan was, I kind of took a step back from Top Shot and started taking a look at Ethereum-based NFTs. And I think the first one of substance that I bought was a Zed Run Horse, which happened to be a good runner. Flipped it for about 12 times what I paid for it, and that ended up giving me some additional capital, which happened to be available on April 30th when I minted a couple Bored Ape Yacht Club tokens, and I guess from there the rest is history.
No, you've had a pretty good run, man, and it's funny because everyone that has, I would say 9 out of 10 people that get on here always say, I started off with Top Shot. And even myself, I started off with Top Shot. It did kind of suck that they diluted the system a little bit. I thought it was a great thing that they were doing. Hopefully with their little NFL plans that they have going, maybe they'll learn from the NBA aspect of it and maybe push something towards the NFL. I did want to ask you, man, where do you see NFTs in 5 years? Because I know a lot of people say, oh, well, we're early. And they always say, well, at the end of the year, next year is going to be amazing. This is the year. Where do you see it in 5 years or 10 years? Is it still around?
Oh, 5 or 10 years. That's really hard to... it's really hard to predict out that far. I've shared with people that, my view is NFTs in the future are going to look very different than how we're looking at them today. And that's not to say that collectibles and art are going to go away, but it's more so that pretty much everything in our day-to-day lives that could be associated with an NFT, I think that's where we are in 5 or 10 years, especially if our presence online continues to grow and our presence is kind of in real life continue to dwindle. I think COVID was a really good indicator of that possibility. In my full-time job, I still haven't gone back into an office, and it's been almost 2 years. So a lot of us are now, have been fully remote for a long time. And every day that we don't step foot in an office, it feels like we're never going to go back into an office. So as our digital lives continue to grow, pretty much anything can be done with an NFT. And some examples that I've shared with folks is NFT ticketing, which I think that's a use case that a lot of people are predicting. I just saw that Gary Vee is launching the token for his NFT restaurant tomorrow, and that's not necessarily a plug for Gary Vee, but it's more so that it just shows that he's using an NFT to basically keep entrance into a restaurant, which is a form of ticketing. So I really believe that's an area of the space that's going to continue to grow. I can certainly see using NFTs as a debt instrument, whether it's for a mortgage or it's for a personal loan or for a car loan, student loans for school. Really, all of that could be tokenized with NFTs, and the use cases are almost limitless. So when I hear people saying we're early, that doesn't mean to me that it's going to be art only. It means that we're early for basically all the fun use cases that those of us who want to build in the space are going to be building when we eventually do hit a bear market.
I think that's a great point. That's a big point that I've been trying to get across to people that I know and listeners. When people talk about, I guess you could say, the metaverse maybe as a whole, people don't necessarily mean everything has to be art. Necessarily, I mean, just knowing about this stuff beforehand, before it pops off, is a big curve that people can get behind. And I think it's a great point. Economist, man, it's crazy listening to you, because I think everything you say is so well put together, and that's why I loved getting you on here for this episode. And I don't even know if you were aware, we actually had a Spaces today with Keith Grossman and Ali and Timo, and a lot of people were very interested to see what you had to say. I mean, you see your following on Twitter. I feel like it's, even at 30,000, that's still not enough for such great content you put out. But with you being the holder of some of these projects you have, BAYC, Ghost, Pixel Vault, what makes you feel so strong about them? We know that, I guess the metaverse is coming up. Everything we feel is going digital. What makes you feel so strongly about art?
Gosh, so I would say that early on, it was really just being at the right place at the right time. And, I almost didn't mint, Bored Apes. It was actually a bunch of the Top Shot community that, I had met for, those few months that, I had been, into Top Shot. We had a Discord server that we all would hang out in and, chat from time to time. And, individuals like Girl Dad were saying, oh, look at this this token, this Bored Ape. It looks like it could be a really fun profile picture. They're relatively cheap. You should mint one or two. And I was thinking, what, I'll mint a couple. And I said, all right, well, maybe I'll mint some more tomorrow if I'm really feeling it. I'm going to sleep on it. And that happened to be the night that Pranksy minted 1,200 of them, and they sold out overnight. And I got a text message from one of my friends the next morning saying, I can't believe that, Bored Ape sold out overnight. So I'm sitting that next morning at a Little League practice for my son, and I'm just searching and, picking up a couple apes off the secondary market at a whopping, 0.15, 0.2 ETH. And, I think that, one of the regrets there was, I just kept, flipping them, because that was really kind of how I got my start. I, gave myself that paperclip challenge. I put, $1,000 into Ethereum. It's like, well, let's see what I can grow it to. And, flipping those apes, early on was, a good decision at the time. I never would have projected that they would be at the current values that they are today. But, it's been, really great watching their story. which kind of leads me into really what my thesis is when I am buying and holding projects, and that's the people. So when I bought into the Bored Apes, I certainly wasn't looking at the people. I just saw the roadmap. I thought that it was very unique. So I'll try this out. And then after that, and having been through the Abimon situation, I started thinking, all right, well, the people behind the projects matter as well. And it took a little bit of time to really develop, how are you going to learn which people you can and cannot trust, especially when most people were anonymous and you're handling everything digitally. So there's certainly some missteps along the way trying to kind of figure that part out. But really, when I'm buying into a project, it's all about the people, because as cute as the artwork might be or as great as the community might be, if the people who are leading the project team are dishonest and aren't going to be there for the long run, then the long-term value just won't be there.
That's a great point. Gary Vee on a video said one time, whenever you invest into these projects, where do you see the owners or creators in 100 years? Are they dedicated to it? And that was a great point that I put towards Cool Cats. Whenever I invested into Cool Cats and I was telling my friends, hey, buy this cool cat picture for $2,000, I saw the team. I saw Klon. Klon wasn't just some artist off the street that started yesterday. He was showing the journey of the cartoonist from 2015, 2016, 17, and on. He didn't just end up in Times Square overnight. That's 5, 6, 7, 10 years of people, being artists and really perfecting their craft. You have Link and Tom, who were coding for like 20 years. They quit their day jobs to really put themselves in a position to make Cool Cats a forever thing for them. And I love that you invest into the teams. That's such a great thing to do. And I want everybody listening to know it is possible. Like, even when Economist just said, like, he was flipping the BAYC, it is possible to flip into projects. It is, flipping projects is not a bad thing. And I know you said that you invest into projects because of the team, but I saw you make an interesting tweet the other day. Could have been yesterday. Maybe from a flipping standpoint, we saw you with the Doodles. Whenever the Doodles first launched, you, if you don't mind me saying, you went all ahead and went out and bought a shark doodle for like 10 ETH. And at the time, that was a huge buy for the Doodles, I believe. That was a pretty big buy. And you made a tweet saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you believe in the project and that's what you want to go for, buy a rare or buy a high tier one straight off. How do you
Yes.
Is that how you feel for maybe, and this is not financial advice for anybody, but is that how you feel for maybe flipping from your eyes?
Yeah, I think that if I can go back and change one thing about how I handled that situation, it would be to buy some additional floor doodles on top of that. Especially after the price kind of dipped to below an ETH. Because I still had the conviction in the project that has never changed from the day that I had first found out about it, which happened to be late and was well past being able to be on the whitelist. To mint the project before the public sale, but I certainly would have done that. So it was the night of the public sale, and I was going to mint 4 or 5, and when I went to go mint them, the gas was, I think, 7,000 Gwei, so it was over an ETH of projected gas for each mint. So to mint 4 of them was going to be almost 5 ETH. And I thought to myself, that's really not what I want to spend on what could basically be 4 floor doodles. So I was looking around, checking the transaction history to see what was out there, and fortunately with Doodles, they posted before the sale kind of what their rares looked like and kind of what their what their traits were like. And so I looked for some of those rare traits, and I saw that the sharks were probably the cheapest out of all of them. And at the time that I bought, it was even lower than 10 ETH. It was 4.5 ETH. And I thought, all right, I know that I like the team. It's a known artist. Very very similar to Klon, right? He's a known artist. He's been an artist for a long time. So this is a published artist who's pairing up with two people who have been around since the CryptoKitties days, and you have the broader community all throwing their support behind this project. So that's what gave me the conviction. Again, it's the people to put down a 4.5 ETH bet on something that was brand new, and it could have very easily gone the other way. You really never know when these bets are going to go well, and you never know when they're going to go wrong. So I consider myself to be very fortunate that this one went well, and the value of this particular doodle is, I would say liquidation value. If I wanted to sell it tomorrow, is probably 11 or 12 times what I paid for it a couple months ago. So it's definitely a bet that worked out.
No, yeah, the doodles were a great play for me. I was able to get on the whitelist. I got like 5 for 0.7 total, which, I mean, you think about it, the gas was outrageous that day. But of course, I did not have the self-control to hold them. So of course, when they went under an ETH, I was not having any self-conviction, I guess would be the word for it. And I traded my 5 doodles, one being a devil, which there was only 50 of them, so I don't know what I was thinking. But I traded my 5 for a cool cat, one cool cat at the time, which was a floor cool cat. But hey, I'm not mad. I've always said it, and I'll continue to live by it. I'm not mad. I love cool cats more than I love doodles. But with that being said, I love seeing both projects succeed. I know there was a little bit of a fuss and fight on the Twitter timeline and in some servers, but I think everyone who is a Cool Cat fan and everyone who is a Doodles fan can attest when I say, both of them getting the love they deserve is such an awesome thing. But, I mean, we've talked a lot about profile pictures, Economist. Is there any photographers that you look at? Is there any photography NFTs in general that you own? I did take a little look at your wallets. You have like freaking 3. So, but yeah, I can't remember if I came across any photography or if maybe you're on like Foundation or if those that don't know, I mean, there are other platforms than OpenSea. You got Foundation, Nifty, and some others. But yeah, I didn't know if maybe you had anything other than profile pictures or things like that.
I haven't really gotten into the photography yet. I have a couple pieces that I like that I ended up buying. But I guess stepping away from just the profile pictures, I'll I can talk about some of the other pieces I hold, that I really like. One is a 101 Chris Wall that I basically stole in a I think it was a Foundation auction. I think I got it for just over 1 ETH, and this was before a lot of the Pixel Vault stuff really took off. I mean, it was still popular, but I thought to myself, not only is he an epic artist, but if Pixel Vault continues to grow and continues to build out what they're planning to build out, this is a piece that could be a really good hold long term. So I decided to pick it up. So that's one piece that I really do like. And then I'd say that there's a lot of the utility NFTs, I guess, if that's the best way to describe it. So the two that really come to mind is really anything Pixelable and anything that's the writer's room, from Jenkins of LA. Both have two very different paths that they're going down, but they're essentially, there's a lot of utility with them. So for the writer's room, I'll start with that one. That one's a little bit simpler to explain, which is by holding a token, there was a period that's now ended where you could license your Bored Ape or your Mutant Ape, or partner with somebody to license their Bored Ape or Mutant Ape, and you get a revenue share from the book proceeds, through that licensing agreement. And for certain tokens, they offer additional utility. The top of which is their Wagme yacht, which, at least for the first book, and I know that there'll be different utility going forward, allows you to use those yachts to develop a character. So I was fortunate. I had a lot of conviction, again, based off people. I had, had a lot of conversations with Jenkins and Safa well before their mint, and I knew this was a project that I wanted to be a part of. So I minted 15 tokens during their minting process. Ended up minting 2 yachts, which is extremely fortunate. And I think the last yacht sale before the licensing window closed went for 55 ETH. So they're certainly trading at a at a pretty good premium based off what it gets you from their project. And then Pixel Vault, I view that more so as just a very long term play, and everything that you buy in today will have its part, for the big picture. And again, it's about the people, having seen what they've already been able to execute on in less than a year. I have a lot of conviction that they're going to continue to execute over time and really get to what they're trying to build. I don't want to put them in too short of a time frame, so I'll just say over the next 5 or 10 years. So the way I see it is, that's a long-term hold. Let me get in early, and I fully expect in 5 to 10 years I will be rewarded for that conviction in really holding all these assets within their ecosystem.
Little do you know, Economist, you helped me get some self-eviction because you are the reason I invested into Pixel Vault. I did get Comic 2. I did get 8 planets. And I just kind of, like you said, I was like, I feel like I will be rewarded in the long term. And I was. With the Adidas too, I got the Adidas drop. I feel like that will be rewarded in the long term, whether it be the clothing, anything else they introduce. And with the planets, you get rewarded by keeping your planets. Later on, you get a Mint Pass 2 for the sidekicks, which, however they play a role in Pixel Vault. So I think that's super cool. And I wanted to circle back how you said, like how you bought into Chris Wall's art. For those that don't know, I believe he's done some art for Marvel. He has some absolutely killer artwork. I love all the pieces that he makes. And them are the things that I really look for whenever it comes to like buying into a new project. There's one coming up, Lucky Ducky. It might not be on your radar, Economist, but he'll actually be on here within the next couple episodes. And for those that don't know, he did the animation for Robot Chicken. You know what I'm saying? So it's really interesting to see where all these artists come from, their backgrounds, what they do, and a lot of them put out some really sick art. With that being said, that kind of like rolls into my next question for you, Economist. For someone being so diverse, and I guess you could say immersed in the community, what does it take to really grab your attention? Like, what if someone is listening to this and they were like, I like Economist, I like what he stands for, I want him to invest into my project or something? What would they need to do, or what does a project do in general that grabs your attention and you're like, damn, that stands out to me, that's different, or I want to be a part of that?
I think first and foremost, for me, I look for projects that are doing something different. With the success of the Bored Ape Yacht Club, there were a lot of projects that tried to copy their model. Some were very successful, most weren't. And it gets to a point where, when you're back in, May 2021, a new profile picture project here, a new profile picture there. It's like, okay, I could see that one. But when you're getting 10, 15, 20 projects a day, you just get a huge oversaturation. So I look for things that are different, coming into the space. I think one of the latest that I got involved with was Fiat Lux, which is that one minted last week, I believe. And for that one, it's going to be a mashup between digital and real life experiences. And their NFTs will actually come with a physical card, which will have augmented reality implementation. So really cool technology, something that's different. And again, it's another bet on people. It's a project team and one of the co-founders. All the lore and the whole story that was put together is something that he's been thinking about for years. Again, he brought on top artists, and it's a project that I'm also planning to hold and just see how it develops. But again, it's people and it's something that's unique, and that's really what grabs my attention. And I'll tell you, it wasn't even on my radar, but a friend of mine put the two of us in contact with each other during NFT New York. He happened to be at NFT New York. We sat down, we had like an hour-long conversation, and I thought to myself, well, this is somebody who understands what's going on in the space. They understand how to run a project, and their concept is really cool. So I'm going to continue to stay in touch with this person, and I was really happy that I did.
Damn, that's beautiful, man. How crazy how that works out. And I mean, so with that being said, we do see things pop up 30, 40 times, a lot of things looking similar. We both have a friend named Franklin, and if you follow Franklin, he loves his funks. So does Economist himself, do you ever see yourself like buying into, I guess not derivatives, but like, I mean, I guess, is that a derivative? Is that what you would call that? I mean, these copy, I wouldn't call it a copy paste project. Okay, I don't want to say that. But are you going to stay with only like BAYC if someone made, I don't know, a ton of other monkeys that kind of look like BAYC? Would you buy into them if you like the team, or would that eviction to Bored Ape be like what kept you away from it? If that makes sense, I guess.
No, it makes sense. And, I've been, as outspoken as I get on Twitter. I've been a bit outspoken about these derivative projects in that I think a lot of the unauthorized derivatives where they're basically just flipping a project and, trying to capitalize off of it. I believe most of that is a cash grab. And while, they might say, well, it's about, art and about copyright and etc. At the end of the day, they basically took a successful project, flipped the pictures around, and then went and sold them to the community. And I don't get upset about it. I pretty much just ignore it. I firmly believe that for any successful brand, whether it's a physical brand or a digital brand, you're going to get copycats, and you can try and stop them as much as you can, but those copycats, they really do help to solidify your brand. Kind of getting out of NFTs for a moment, just think about things like sneakers, right? So Yeezys and Jordans. There are a ton of knockoffs that you can buy through online channels that look so good that for most people, you wouldn't even be able to tell them for the originals. And this is a way for people who really like the sneaker but don't feel like spending 5, 6, 7 times what they cost retail to buy them on like a site like Goat or StockX, and they feel good enough having these knockoffs, and they didn't pay a ton of money for it. And for me, that doesn't bother me at all. Like if I had an authentic pair of sneakers and somebody had a pair of knockoffs and I couldn't tell the difference and it made them happy, that doesn't hurt me. It doesn't hurt the value of the sneakers that I have, and just like it won't hurt the value of my NFTs. So all these derivatives, like, they can do whatever they want. It's not going to impact my value. But if you're a project team and you want to do a derivative, I think that the sharpest way to do it, and there have been products that have done it this way, is you offer it as a free mint to the people who own the original token, allow them to mint the derivative, and then earn your money off of the secondary sales. And that's certainly a distribution method that I can get behind, because you are, by way of allowing the original token holders to mint, you're essentially getting their buy-in for it, and then you're going to still get your royalties on the back end if it ends up being popular.
Damn. Yeah. And I don't want nobody to think we're picking on Franklin. You know, we're both his friend. We love him. But no, I think you have a great point. Not a big fan of the ones that just or the people that, how you have cool cats, so they'll just put the word "un" in front of it, make it "uncool cats." It's a little weird. No shots at anybody particular. It's just odd to me, not something personally that I buy into. Anyone else is free to do what they please. But I love your take on that, man.
And just
go ahead.
real quick, and on that, you know, I did mint a couple Zunks, and for those weren't really derivatives. Those were using the same traits, but in a best efforts basis to not mint copies of the original CryptoPunks, if that makes sense. You know, somebody pointed out that there were some like technical glitches, mostly due to like how old the original CryptoPunk contract was, that there were some copies. But I think that's different. You know, having a few copies in the collection unintentionally is very different than copying the entire collection. And you know, their process was a very smooth minting process, and then for a short period of time you could re-roll certain traits. So you know, I had a couple and I sold them, but you know, I did spend a little bit on a Zunk that, you know, was wearing a hoodie and had a surgical mask on, and I didn't buy it because, you know, I think I'm going to flip it for a lot of money. I actually bought that because I felt that it was culturally relevant to what a lot of us have been facing over the last 2 years. So, you know, I paid like half an ETH for it, which is probably more than what it's actually worth. But, you know, I felt that it was a very cultural relevant NFT, and I did buy that one because I wanted to hold on to it.
And for some reason, we have an audio issue. I just want to apologize to everyone. We somehow lost the last 10 minutes of this episode with Economist while mixing the audio. I don't know what happened, but like I said, I do apologize. And I wanted to push this episode out and not scratch it entirely. I felt like you could hear myself and Economist speak throughout the whole thing, and you mainly get the point of the whole conversation. I believe it's about 30 minutes before we reach this point. So I do apologize to everyone and Economist himself. I'm not sure if he's aware of this problem, but I hope everyone has a great day. This is the 8th episode, and going forward, this should not be a problem anymore. We found a new site to start using, so we will use that going forward. I wish everyone has a great day. I hope you get the PO app. If you forgot, the code word was POW, P-O-W. And yeah, I hope you all have a great day and good luck in 2022. See you next episode.